and close bigger deals. We are going to explore the art of consultative selling today with Donnie Purto at Sales Acceleration. Donnie's going to explain why consultative selling isn't just about selling your products, it's about solving real issues for your clients and therefore building long-term relationships with your clients. So stay tuned. We're going to gather some insights, some actionables. We're going to share some personals about what we've been through to get to this point, building lasting relationship with your clients. Amazing. So Paula Mattisonsierra, I'm the host of 10 at 10 and the founder of Power Marketing SF. Today I'm going to have on the show Donnie Purto. He's a vice president of sales of Peak Sales Performance. Hey Donnie, welcome to the show. Hey, how are
Hey,
you
Paul.
doing?
Great to see you. Thanks for having me on. It's
No,
awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah,
This is like one of my favorite topics, because really, how else am I going to build my business and increase revenue if I don't understand that I, as a founder, is the first salesperson to the
yeah,
business? And it's important for me to get comfortable with this. And I'm
yeah,
realizing that a lot of people have issues with this, Donnie.
yeah, yeah,
What inspired you about like pursuing a career in this? Like, what was your aha moment that made you
yeah,
transition to consultative, more of a consultative style of selling?
yeah. Great question. Great point, Paula. I think when people hear sales, they get scared. They don't want to be known as a salesperson, and that's perfectly fine. But we have to also understand that really sales is the oxygen, is the lifeblood of an organization and of every company that you see that's successful. Really, sales is driving that success, especially when you look at the revenue side of things. So, what really brought me to where I am now, and the process or the evolution to consultative sales. Uh, Really, when I got into sales, I was pretty fresh out of college. I was actually very scared to sell. I was intimidated. It was very difficult to ask for business to close. I
Mm-hmm.
think different personalities gravitate towards sales. What brought me really into the sales world was I really loved being with people. I loved engaging with people. I loved having meaningful conversations. So over the course of time, I went through good sales training, and I've also gone through some really poor sales training. And as I would go through the poor sales training, when I was out in the field selling, I would always take notes, remind myself, like, when I ever become a sales trainer or a sales leader, these are things that I'm not going to teach. And these are things that I liked that I want to teach. So over the course of time, I really picked out styles and approaches of sales that I really gravitated towards and liked. And that became being a very consultative salesperson, and really an advisor. I always wanted to see myself and be known as a trusted advisor to my customers. So
So
that was really the evolution, going from nervousness, scared, intimidated, going through some good training, bad training, and then coming out at the end, understanding really the way I like to sell, and that's what's worked for me.
well, tell me some of those core principles that's like maybe two or three that kind of stood out to you as you were on the journey. Like these need to be part of the pillars of how what consultative selling should look like versus the used sales car guy model.
Yeah, yeah, great question. So number one is really earning the right or earning the opportunity to close. So a lot of sales trainings, they want you to, I'm sure you've heard of Paula, always be closing.
Oh, is he
Always be closing.
closing?
You should always be closing, but that's actually not true, and it's not accurate, and that's not the right art of sales. The right art of sales is really always be curious. The other C is
Mm,
curious. So
I like that.
ABC, always be curious.
Always be
And so
curious.
for me, the key pillars are really asking important questions to understand the customer, understand their situation, understand what they're trying to solve, or understand their pain points, and then delivering value to what you hear. So asking good questions. The hardest one, Paul, is number two, is listening. And
Mm,
salespeople really struggle with listening. Um, typically the sales folks that are hired are very fast paced. They're excited to share what they have. They're excited to present their offering. But what happens in that situation is you're skipping the listening part.
Yeah.
And that's really the key to being a consultant or being a trusted advisor with your customers, is really asking good questions, listening to what they share, the feedback that they give you, and then presenting an offering that brings value to the customer.
Ah,
So
man.
that's really the art of it. Is those three. If we can get those three things right: asking questions, listening for what they said, and then presenting value to the customer, presenting benefits that are valuable to them, not what's important to you.
I always try to breathe ahead of schedule of that too, because I got to own it. I do get excited about, hearing what they're going through, realizing that their problems may be smaller than they think, but because I'm coming in with my expertise, I
Yeah,
can see that, right? So I'm
yeah,
already excited for them, and we were joking earlier. It's like, oh, because I'm such a demure, shy person, and you were like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, it's a joke, you know. But it's one of the things I struggle with as well. So whenever it's at that point, I do a breathe transition. It's like
yeah, yeah. That's.
breathe, listen, be curious,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's it. Ask questions, be curious. Well, the big one here that you said I've dropped in as well, I think I heard it a couple of times as we were speaking, is how do you approach the idea of building trust with a new client, especially one who might be super skeptical about what it is that you're doing? How do you approach that?
Yeah, trust is the key to building long-term established relationships with any customer, is building that trust, creating that trust. And really that trust evolves differently for each customer. Some prospects or customers, we can say that they're trusting early. Some are less trusting. And a lot of it is making sure that you meet the customer where they are. And building trust is really when you say something, when you commit to something, delivery. When they ask for something and you say, I'm going to follow up, making sure you really, really follow up. That's really, it's very simple. It sounds very simple, but a lot of salespeople, this is where they go wrong. When they say that they're going to do something, they don't follow up and they don't do it. And when that happens, trust is out the window. So
Yeah.
really, it's really important to build trust one brick at a time. And it really starts, the foundation is by delivering on what you say you're going to deliver. Because early on in a relationship, in that buyer seller relationship, they're really watching every small step you take. So if you forget to take that follow-up step, even if it's as simple as uh, I'll send an email, or I'll follow up via text, or I'll give you a call, and you forget to do it, most of the time that trust is gone, and it's very difficult to go back and try to earn it. So it's got to be established early. It's got to be one step at a time. And then it's really different types of communication styles. Some trust quickly, some take longer to build trust. And then Paula, when you get out there, I think you see a lot of salespeople actually say, "Trust me," and the customer, the prospect, is thinking in their mind like, "I don't trust you.
I don't know
Prove,
you.
prove yourself to me for me to be able to trust you," and that really takes delivering on what you say.
Is you tailor the service? Is that something that you see? Is that you have to tailor service to meet the client's specific needs, and even how you communicate with that client as well?
Yeah, you touched on two things that are really critical. Number one, the communication style. Everybody has a different way they like to be communicated to, and then tailoring the need to what you. When we go back to the first thing we spoke about, is asking good questions, listening. If you throw something that you didn't hear as your features and benefits, they're not going to trust you, because what's going on in their mind is, you didn't even hear what I said. You asked me a question, I gave you a response. You didn't present something of value to me. The features and benefits you're presenting don't align with what I was interested in. So, yeah, perfectly said. As you mentioned, you lose that trust, you take a step back with that prospect. And then the second point you made is communication.
Mm, yeah,
There's different types of communication styles people like to be communicated with.
yeah.
Some are fast paced, some are slow paced, some are their priority is people, working with people, connecting with people. Some are really their priority is data and facts. So if you're giving somebody who's a data and facts person just working only on the relationship,
Yeah.
you're not aligning with what their communication style is. Some people, their selling point or their value prop is going to be you delivering data for them, facts
Mm.
about your proposition or what you're sharing. If you're not able to share that with them, you're losing trust with them. So being able to really connect correctly, properly with the communication style that you're meeting with is important.
So definitely we're not talking about a style where in order to close the deal, you don't feel that you even need to consider being pushy or aggressive. I know some folks, they feel that in order to close the deal, they
Hmm.
have to be pushy and aggressive.
Hmm.
But just kind of off the top of my head, I'm thinking, what are some of the results that you've seen from salespeople who have pushed and been aggressive to close that deal? What happens on the other side of the fence when that happens?
Yeah, I
Like,
think, yeah, if we
as a
define,
client, you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like I'm feeling
definitely,
like it already sets up a bad
yeah,
feel going into the relationship.
yeah. So I think being aggressive in your close
Yeah.
is really a process of closing too early, closing too
Mm,
soon when the customer is not ready to be closed or that prospect is not ready to be closed. So if you're not seeing buying signals, if there's not, as you're going through your sales process, which is multiple steps, it should be really pre-call planning, understanding the customer before you walk in, having good questions, listening, and then presenting based on what you heard. After that, you have an opportunity to close. But if
mhm.
you just walk into a customer, you're immediately closing, all you're doing is alienating that customer and creating tension.
Yeah.
So the close needs to be very natural. It needs to be a progressive series.
Yeah.
And then I think people come off as a pushy close or an aggressive close because they didn't earn that right to close. They haven't
Mm,
they haven't created a need or demonstrated a need that they're filling, and then that feels like an aggressive close. That feels like a pushy close because it's premature.
yeah. I love the way you said that. It's like it's premature. You don't
Yeah,
have that relationship with
yeah,
them,
yeah.
you know. And it seems to me, Donnie, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you may actually close that deal and that may be your last deal with that person
Mhm.
until that relationship's over. They're just looking for ways of getting out of it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's
How
like
many times does that happen to all of us, right? Like, oh my God, that person pushed me into something I'm not happy with. Paula, what happens there is just transactional. It's a one-time transactional thing.
mm,
And then you're most likely never going to get repeat purchases from them. And then when we come to your expertise, marketing, now you're trying to rebuild your brand, rebuild, distinguish yourself as a positive factor in the community or with that customer. Becomes it's a lot of work to rebrand yourself because that poor experience gets passed on by word of mouth or today with social media, and then you're trying to put out fires.
oh, it's actually you kind of rolled into the conversation about brand.
Yeah.
How do you position value rather than price? Because I know a lot of times, really, and that's about understanding your brand as well. So I'm kind of all there with the clients as well. Let's not focus on price, let's focus on the value. But
Hmm.
how do you position value rather than price as you're having a conversation, even on your with your products or and
Yeah.
services?
Yeah. Great question. I mean, we price is always going to play a factor, but I always like to say value is really the benefits you're presenting or the benefits that the customer is experiencing or will experience minus the costs, and that's the value. So if we focus on the benefits we're solving,
Yeah.
the importance of the opportunity or the gap that we're trying to solve for that customer, then the cost becomes less of a factor. So
Mm,
focusing on the benefits, in sales, we always talk about features and benefits, but there's a clear line between features and benefits. Features are just things about the product or service you're selling, but
mm,
then benefits are bringing those to life. What this means to you is this. How this solves the problem is this. So bridging that gap between features and benefits for the customer, bringing the clarity of the value that the customer is going to have, softens the cost. And then there's also the cost of not moving forward, Paul. If you
mm.
think about other ways to illustrate or demonstrate the value you're bringing, is
Yeah.
helping them understand if they don't move forward, what's the cost
Mm.
associated with that? What's the
Wow.
cost of doing things the way you've currently been doing it? Not good, right? It's continuing to get worse and worse and worse. So
Mm.
there's the cost associated with not moving forward.
Okay. All right. I always like to use the analogy on my side of, I think the restaurant. I think I shared that one with you.
Yeah.
Going to this really, really great restaurant, and we know it's going to be expensive, but the experience, I'm going to tie that in with value. The
Mhm.
overall experience is part of that value as well, right?
Yeah.
And you leave the restaurant and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And, but what a wonderful experience. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so the price doesn't even play into the situation, right? Your
Yeah.
focus is on the experience. Can you is that something that we should tie to value as well? Is the overall experience?
Yeah, that's a wonderful point, and I love the analogy of the restaurant. And the other side is it could be not an expensive bill, and you're never going back because you
You're
had a
never
really
going
poor
back.
experience, right? You don't even remember that it was not very expensive. So the experience again is really everything. From an experience standpoint, working with businesses, that really needs to be driven from the top down. Really, the business owner, the CEO, the visionary of the organization, the company, really need to start and create that experience culture and
Mm,
drive that down throughout the entire organization. So, yeah, experience is a big part of value that you're presenting. It's a big component of what the salesperson, or sales representative, business development team they're presenting is the entire
yeah.
package of the experience service that you get if you're buying a service, the concierge service that goes with whatever you're selling is all a part of the package that you're bringing beyond just the service or product. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That rolls me right into my question about like relationship management, right? So, how important is it to maintain a long-term relationship in consultative selling?
Yeah. So as a sales leader, we're I'm looking at two things, and I would say probably most great sales leaders are you're closing new deals or adding new people to your portfolio, customers to portfolio. But then if you're losing customers, you're not getting very far. You have a leaky bucket, right? How are you going to close that leaky bucket? So it's critical for us to maintain your book of business, maintain your customer uh, book, and that really is fostered through great relationships, through maintaining relationships. So checking in, remembering what they like, what they order, remembering the small things about them, remembering uh, their their family, their kids' names, their pets' names, whatever it is about that customer, making sure that you really, really, and Paula, there's no way to disguise this, as you
Mhm.
know, you and I spoke about this last time. There's
Yeah.
no way to
Yeah.
disguise truly caring about somebody.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's no way to hide that. So uh, it's important to really care about your customer, really care about their business, the you benefiting their business, where you fit in. There's no masking really caring about people,
Mm.
and that comes into thinking having a very servant type of uh,
Oh,
perspective when you sell is putting them first, putting your customer first.
I love that, the servant perspective
Yeah,
of the relationship. How can consultative selling drive growth and scalability? Of course, we're bringing in sales, right? But we
yeah,
just kind of spoke about always having to fill that well. Is that something that we should be thinking about instead of just focused on making that sale? Um, Talk to me about how it fits into business growth and scalability.
yeah. So as I led sales teams, I would always share with them, focus on your customer, focus on the tasks you have, and the sales will come. If the worst thing you want to do, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of sales people, is their sales leader is just hyper focused on their numbers, always
Mm,
talking about their numbers, their deliverables,
always be closing
always be
concept, right?
closing. All that does, Paula, is put a strain
Yeah.
on the salesperson. They're not
Oh
focused
man.
on their they're not focused on their customer. They're not focused on preparing for a good sales call. They're just really thinking about their number, and that anxiousness, that anxiety drains them down, pulls them down. So I really believe in, if you focus on delivering for your customer, having a focus on bringing value, just like you opened this meeting with, is bringing value, putting that value first, the numbers will come, your
Yeah,
success will
absolutely.
come, the revenue will come.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but what that leads to is continuous growth from that customer, and then the
Yeah.
word of mouth growth throughout the community.
And really, as I see it, this is where the entire umbrella of marketing comes into play as well, right? Because marketing communication comes
Yeah.
in once you close the deal to make sure that I am truly communicating the message
Hmm.
that Donnie shared with the clients, right?
Yeah.
We're all on the same boat. Now we need to be consistent all the way through to our customer support person who
Yeah.
will pick up the phone for the clients, right?
Yeah.
So this is where that overall umbrella comes into play. And I
Yeah.
know you and I have spoken about this year in, year out, age in, age out of sales versus marketing communication, almost a disdain. Well, I don't market, I just do sales. I'm like, you idiot, you are marketing. Like, look, I'm sorry. Yes, I did call a couple of you idiots just now.
Yeah.
Get with it. We're 2025 right
Yeah.
now. Sales is part of marketing.
Yeah.
You're out there representing the brand, you're
Yeah.
closing, you're offering the service. That's part of the process. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this it looks like this is a part where for that growth and scalability, this is where the marketing communication comes in,
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things that I'm noticing on a side note, Donnie, that because my side of marketing collects so much analytics lately,
Yeah.
we really should be having a better conversation between the marketing communication side
Mhm.
and the straight sales side of
Yeah.
marketing. That little conversation, that arrogance should go out the window. It's ridiculous when
Mhm.
I hear a salesperson not understanding to
Mhm.
sit down with marketing, go, wait a second, what happened there? Oh, wait, I could take advantage of that thing that you
Yeah.
didn't notice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me get that. It's like,
Yes.
so, and a big thing that I'm noticing, I'm going to throw this out there because, again, on my side, I always worry when my business owners aren't collecting the information. They're so focused on making that one onesie Tuesday sale
Mhm.
that they're not communicating after. So, to me, guys, if you don't have a customer relationship management system,
Yeah.
um, set up, like what's going on there, how can we communicate with the clients effectively? So yeah, I said a mouthful, Donnie, sorry about that.
No, that was
I,
awesome. There's
it,
so
I,
much there. Yeah, there's so much there that's
yeah,
important. As you and I kind of spoke about before, I think the old way sales was in one car, marketing was in another car, and they were kind of like racing side by side to see who was actually helping the business more.
yeah,
But I think it's now the best way to do it, Paula, is jump in the car together, carpool. You avoid traffic. You can use the carpool lane. So really, what that means is you can serve and help a lot more, many more prospects, many more customers when you're joint, when you're together, when you're really, stride by stride, communicating, working, collaborating,
Yeah,
all for the purpose of helping the customer, helping them close that gap.
yeah,
And the other thing I really love that you shared is data. I think that sales folks are not using their data enough. What I
mm,
see is there's a lot of data available to them, but one challenge they have is slowing down, taking a step back, utilizing the data that they have to make better visits, to make
yeah,
better sales calls, to be more efficient and more prepared before they make that visit, or when they're trying to grow a customer, understanding their habits, understanding their business, and then using the data they have created by marketing, understanding the personas, understanding the ideal customer profile. The more you understand, the more you can help. So
mm,
working side by side is critical. It's
yeah.
critical, and understanding those touch points is a huge opportunity that I don't think we take advantage of enough, to your
No,
point.
we don't. We
No,
don't.
we
You know,
don't.
I'm gonna do a little giveaway. We're talking about data and how it actually data, tomato, tomato. We're in this new world right now. But the one of the things that we do on the branding side, as a because everyone wants to come up with their own name for the product. They want to, they have a vision. They've been thinking about the business for a long time. And like, let's come up with three varieties, throw that into social media and just test it. Do three different posts,
Mm, mm,
never at any time saying, what do you think about this name? Just simply do a selling structure, using and just see which one people respond better to.
yeah.
That's like, why would you create a product name or an offering or a company name or whatever you have without testing it that way? To me, it's like it's right there. To me, that's a free one you can take away. But on the branding side, that's one of the things that we do at Power Marketing to test the idea, test the product. And yeah, we're going to burn through a couple of dollars. Way better to do it in a 3 month or 6 months process than to do that over what's the shortest term for most startup businesses? 3 to 5 years. Like they
Mhm.
may die in three
Yeah,
years, but they keep burning for five, right?
yeah,
So that's a lot of money, that's a lot of time, and why not just test it? And a
yeah,
lot of people put their note like, I don't want to spend that money, but it's like such a short investment for
yeah,
but that's a great example of data that we could hand over to the salesperson. Like, this
yeah.
is how they responded. This is what they said. And
Yes.
these are all the people that we kept in CRM after we
Mm,
tested that's super stoked about it. Can we give them like 10, 15% off?
yeah.
Because they're like they're right. It's like, I mean, so that's like communication and sales working in
Yeah.
such an awesome way.
Hmm.
But what I love about it, though, Donnie, is the fact that small companies have access to this. I mean,
Hmm.
when I started my first business when I was younger,
Hmm.
you're competing with a big bank or a larger company that's money. But the social media environment, for all its horrible flaws,
Yeah.
really gives business owners some great advantages if
Yeah.
they use it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my last question to you,
Yeah.
though,
That was
is
quick, Paula. That was fast.
was it?
We could do this all day. Yeah.
What's the biggest piece of advice that you would offer to someone who's either just starting or they're trying to revamp to more of a consultative sales process? Any advice that you could offer
You mean from like a sales, from
from a
a
sales,
business
yeah,
owner perspective? If
or even
there,
a business owner perspective? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, from a business owner perspective, really assess the way you sell. It's really
Mm.
important. Don't just continue to do the same thing. I've had so many conversations with business owners, like, this is how we've done it. And then
Oh,
you dig in, you're like, oh, well, you just let go of 4 sales reps in the last year. something's going on, right? Like, let's look into it. It can't be always the sales rep's fault. Is it the culture that you're creating? Is the way, the approach you're sharing with them? Is there an expectation that you're presenting that is not reality? So
Mm,
it's very important to assess, how am I selling? Does it fit the market I'm in?
yeah,
Do I understand my customers and what's important to them? Do my salespeople understand? Are they following the funnel in the CRM? Do I know where
mm,
people are in the different stages?
yeah.
And then do I know my client persona? Do I know how to sell in the
So good
space that
question.
I'm playing in? These are all important factors.
Yeah. I'm going to add one more thing to that level.
Yeah,
I don't think folks realize once you have all that data from your side, and having those conversations, um, that you can even hire better. Because
yeah,
once you know who the brand is, how you're selling, what the style is that you like, what do you want,
yeah.
suddenly everything becomes a little bit easier. I was working with a not-for-profit the other day, and I was at the board meeting, and they were just offering these fantastic ideas. Like they were like ready to go because their year
Hmm.
has just started, right?
Hmm.
Super
Hmm.
excited to go. They're like throwing out all these fantastic ideas, but they were a lot of ideas from all over the place. And I'm like,
Hmm.
and it's a new not-for-profit. They're still kind of in that period. I'm like, this is a fantastic time after going through such a productive year to stop and say, who are we now? Because then you
Hmm.
almost had to go through the startup phase. It's like just by the
Yeah,
nature of what it is that they're doing. But it's like, can we stop now and go through and just bullet point who
yeah,
are we, so that
yeah,
now we're very fine-tuned on which board members, who are they, what's their personality type, who gets
yeah,
hired, vendors, everything. I don't think
yeah.
folks understand that understanding client persona, business persona, all of that fine-tunes your operations as well, you
I
know
love it.
so
Yes.
that's what I'm going to throw into your end. Mr. Porto, how do my viewers get in touch with you if they want to connect? Or maybe have you on another podcast. Let's get that word out there, you know?
Yeah. Awesome. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. It was
Oh,
a lot of fun. I really love working and collaborating with you. I think there's a lot of great synergies and companies that we're able to help together. So just find me is just search my name, Donnie Purto, on LinkedIn. You'll see all my information on there. I really don't do any outreach. I don't do any outside marketing. All of my opportunities come from partners, from referrals that I'm currently working with or that have had good experiences with me. But I loved our dialogue. I loved our conversation. Make sure that your team is trained up. It's important. You have the right vision, you have the right processes in place. To your point, and let's train them, coach them. Coaching is very important. Making
yeah.
sure you're coaching. Training is not a one day thing. It's you got to coach, give feedback, and then salespeople should be seeking feedback. They should also
Mm.
be trying to get better and better and better. So if anybody has interest in any of these opportunities, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have a conversation um, on any topic.
Absolutely. And of course, as you saw, when we were speaking today, marketing, sales, marketing, and your operations is a love story. One
Yeah,
doesn't work without the other. So if you'd like to reach out to me for strategy, day-to-day marketing, your girl is right here. Call me, reach out. I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out to me. My continued mission, as always, is to introduce you to everyday experts and business owners who will share their experiences and expertise to uplevel you both on the personal side and the professional side, because as business owners those two are not separate, right? Again, we air at 10 a.m. on LinkedIn live. This is not a pre-recorded perfect environment. We're laughing, we're talking, we're making mistakes, we're being our authentic selves. The show is 10 at 10 on LinkedIn every Thursday. And I'd like to share a quote if I could to close out, because I couldn't have chosen this better, Donnie,
all
which
right, let's
is
hear it.
forget about your competition, just focus on your customers. It's by
Yeah.
Jack Ma, one of my favorites. You know, again, thank you so much for being on the show, Donnie, and sharing your experience. Thank you to the viewers who share, watch, and like my products, my offering. Keep moving forward. My guest next week is Patrick Chua from Farmers Insurance. How does insurance tie in with marketing? You're gonna have to listen to hear. It's a big deal, and especially in our world, our technological world. Let's
Mhm.
have a conversation about that.
Mhm.
Donnie, thanks so much again for being on the show. Everyone, have an amazing rest of the week. I'll see you next. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Paula.